Alright, hey everybody, back again, finally doing this install on this amplifier in my 2008 Pontiac G6. I did the speakers a while back, quite a while back, front and back. I'm finally getting around to installing this this amp into my stock head unit. As you see, it's just a regular head unit, it's non-monsoon. So got this little amp. I think it'll do the job. We'll find out here. Anyway, it's not real hard to get to this head unit. We're just going to cut into the existing stereo wires and go from there. Anyway, so to do this, like a lot of things on this G6, a 7mm socket is important. Most of the screws to get the access panels under the dash open. You see I already started. You start here with this panel. This just pops out. Nothing big there. I think two screws under here. Pop this down, and the main thing we're trying to get to is this here. Oh, let me get a better view. This out, so we can pull the stereo, be able to get behind and get to the wires. So there, and on the other side, we also have to drop the glove box, and there's 3 screws here. I'll show you in a second. That we'll take out. We're going to get the glove box out also. A little sunny out here, so it's hard to focus. We actually got a really nice day here. It's going to be 75 here in late February in Ohio, northern Ohio. Incredibly unusual and probably a record high, so I'm taking advantage of it. So here, the same thing. Panel here, I already had it out. It just pops out. There's no screws at all that hold it in. Some harnesses there, fuse block. Up under here, a couple screws, 7mm still, and you'll pull this cover. I already pulled it off. This is actually, if you ever need to change out this blower motor, which happens quite a bit in this Pontiacs, I've already done it on this one. It's not hard to do, but it's very common, especially they tend to go out when it's really cold, and that's when my last one went out. And they're not hard to change. I thought I had a video on it. I still can't locate it, but if I do find it, I'll post it. So anyway, get that out, and then up here you got 3 screws, one here, and here's the last one I didn't remove yet. I think that's the only 3. I'm gonna go ahead and remove that, and then we'll see. All right, actually, yeah, there's a couple more here I forgot about it. So this pops off, the screwdriver in here, small straight slot, pops right off. So I got to take these out, and that's going to these 2. And I think this one. I think those 2 will get us where we got to go, and be able to drop this. This whole glove box. Yeah, just these 2 here. I got the 3 out on the bottom, and I think there'll be 1 over here I'm gonna have to try to get to, and be able to take this whole glove box out. Alright, got that out. I'm not gonna lie, this one in the back corner is a real pain in the ass. You gotta drop the glove box, and I used a 7mm box end wrench to get down in there. I didn't have my 1/4-inch ratchet wrench, so it's real tight to get in there. You can't get a straight shot at it. So that's gonna be a little bit of pain in the ass to get to, so just be aware of that. But it come out. So anyway, got that undone, pulled it out. There was this wiring clip here on there. I just cut it off. I'll tie it back on somehow. Anyway, I went ahead and did the other side also, and it's the same thing. 2 7mm screws here. Pull it down. The OBD2 plug was just clipped on. I undid that, so everything's out. And now I'm just basically going to sit in here and pull on this. This will come out. Pry it up a little bit up here, but should just pop right out. So I got that out. Just remember to unplug your clip from the right side. You can get a flat screwdriver underneath there when you pull that whole piece out. And anyway, it pulls out, so it's out. I put the car in neutral also. I turned the key because it won't come out, so I pulled it back and put it back in park, turn the key off. So that's that. So next thing is there's 2 7mm bolt heads here. I went ahead and took those off. You see this just pulls right out. climate control stuff. I may or may not take this out of the way. I guess I could remove these. Maybe I'll just go ahead and remove these out of the way. And then next one's here is 4 7mm bolts here. And then we'll be able to pull this out. Alright, I went ahead and undid the screws and just pulled right out. See on the back here, I went ahead and undid the antenna that pulls straight out from back over here. I'm going to undo these other two connectors here, and then see how I'm going to probably strip this goopy wire back for all the speakers and see how I want to splice into it for my amp. Alright, so now what I'm going to have to do, this particular amp didn't come with another wiring harness. I thought I had enough for the inputs and outputs, but it's been a while since I bought this. So these are the outputs. Majority of them are speaker wires, power, you know, your positive, your negative, and auxiliary, I believe, power continuous, yeah. So which we're not using. So I'm just using this basically for the speaker. So I know the speaker, I know which wires are speakers. I have them written down. I'm going to go ahead and splice. I'm going to cut into these, and I'm going to the wires going out to the speakers are, I'm going to solder these on, and I'll show you when I'm done with that. And coming from the head unit, those same two wires for each speaker, unfortunately what I have to do is, these came with RCA jack hookups for head units that actually have these, in which this one doesn't. So what I have to do, kind of sucks, is I have to actually cut these, and each one has two wires, so I have to cut it, be careful, there'd be a braided outside in the center, and solder them on also with shrink tube. You want to be real certain not to let them short out at any point after you're done. It's more tedious than I really wanted to deal with right now. I was hoping these would all be soldered, but it's been a while since I had this. I forgot this is what I'd gotten with this little unit, but no big deal. I've soldered a lot, so I'll tear into it, get her done. All right, I'm over here at the workbench now. So anyway, here's a quick. This is my wire, my chart here. For the wires, these are actually what the wires are on the car, and these are what's on my amp. So those are the outputs, you know, going to the speakers. So as I cut the inputs, then I'm going to have to go by this chart that came with the Kenwood here. You see here, shows that little number 1 right there. So basically that's me cutting the wires and going over here to my factory installed unit with the plus and minus on each speaker. And you can see here, well, the speakers are marked front, left, front, right on the actual on the amp. But like here, it even shows you prevent a short circuit. You know, make certain to keep those separated and solder them together. I recommend solder. Wire nuts, they're just, it's not a good idea in the car that bumps around a lot. If you know how to solder, get a cheap soldering iron for 15 bucks or something. You get a little kit for nothing on Amazon. So anyway, I went ahead and cut I just cut them a couple inches, though I'm not using those ends. So here's the end I am using. These are, got 2 sets of these, left and right and left and right. So anyway, front and back. So here I went and stripped it off, and here's what it looks like once it's stripped. You got a stranded wire that goes around. It's a bare stranded wire. I can't really focus on that for some reason. But anyway, so I just twisted it together by hand, and what I'm going to do is I can use some of the shrink tube and make it like its own. I'm just going to slide the shrink tube over, leave a little of the conductor open so I can, when I solder it. So I just want to give a few inches here on each one, about 3 inches, so I have room to work with. So I'm going to go ahead and make these all up. I'm going to slide this little shrink tube over, shrink it down. You can even use a hair dryer to use shrink tube. Shrink tube's cheap. It's better than tape. Tape will come off. Try to get you some shrink tube if you can get it anywhere. I don't know, Home Depot. There's no Radio Shacks left anymore. Again, Amazon, real cheap, easy to get. So I'm going to go ahead and make these all up and get them ready just as if they were regular stranded conductor wire, and I'll show you when I'm done. I went ahead and finished up, stripped them out. I went ahead and got the shrink tube on here and shrunk it down a little bit. I got a little torch I use. You got to be careful it doesn't burn it up, the shrink tube. But so I went ahead and got that ready, left the conductors about 1 inch long so I can twist them in with the other ones, and then before I twist them all together, I'll put shrink tube on the other wires, so once they're together and soldered, I can slide the shrink tube on and heat it up, and each connection will be good and won't short out. So yeah, so as you can see, this is basically one set, a left and right. This, well, let's just say this is like front, left and right here, and left is going to be the white, and red is going to be your right. So left and right front, and the other set of here, this would be rear, left and right. Alright, so that's what we're going to do. I'm going to go over now, I'm going to go ahead and cut into the harness. Now we're not cutting all the wires on the harness, just the speakers. I'll show you. So just to reiterate here what we're doing, I'm only going to cut the wires here. On this particular car in the G6, the twisted wires are the speakers. I got my brown and yellow, I got my light blue, dark blue, got my gray and tan, and I got my light green and green. So I'm going to cut those probably right about here, a few inches away, so I can have enough to work with on each side. And again, I'm only cutting the speaker wires. Don't cut all the wires to the harness. Alright? And when I go to hook these up, so these are all mine. Love the sun, but it's making it tough today. Those are going to the speakers. The numbers on the colors on the left, tan, gray, that's all on the vehicle. And this is where they're going to on my harness. Down here, going to the amp, same thing. This will be the wires coming off of the plug, because that's coming from the head unit, going to the amp. So the tan, which is positive, from the front left, is going to go to what I marked out as my white shield. And that just means the white, because there's a red and a white on each RCA, and the shield that goes around the white wire, I'm calling the white shield. Okay, that's the positive. Okay, so the one with all the strands that you had to heat shrink, that's going to be the positive on all your RCAs. And the center, the other conductor that has insulation, that's your negative. So here I just marked white, goes to gray. Alright, so I'm going to go and cut and get it ready, and I'll show you what I'm doing. So I went in and cut them, see here. And I just cut the ones that were twisted. I left a little bit because I'm going to have, these are going to go to the amp. Those going out are going to the speakers. So the ones on the connector, I'm going to be going to my amp. So I went ahead and I stripped them about 1 inch or so. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and twist them together and get them ready to solder. But before I even do that, twist them, I want to get my heat shrink ready. So I'm going to cut me some pieces of heat shrink. Doesn't matter which color. Preferably size close. It's just a little bit larger than what we're soldering onto. So I want it to be able to cover the whole bare copper. But I'm going to slide it up the wire. I'm going to slide it up here, my harness here, because there's plenty of wire. So I'm going to cut a bunch up on each wire. Go ahead and slide them up now, so I don't forget. I don't want to get some wire soldered and realize I didn't put any heat shrink on it, because there's no way to slide it up because the connector's on the other end of this. So I'm going to go ahead and prep all the heat shrink, get them on, and start prepping them to solder. So we then got all the wires twisted. Hard time focusing here, the sun. Anyway, like I said, I made certain that I had the heat shrink on here, ready to go. It's not heated, of course. So when I just twisted them on, you see there, if I can zoom in. The sun is not helping today with the zoom and the focusing and stuff. But I didn't put any solder paste on or anything, but I'm going to solder them. So the heat shrink tube is about 1.5, about 2 times. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and solder all these at once. These are all the wires going out to the speakers. All 8 of them. 2 for each speaker. I'm going to go ahead and go through and solder all of them. And then I'll slide the heat shrink tube shrink over them, then heat that up, and then all those will be done. So let's get on it. I went ahead and soldered all of them and did the heat shrink. I'm trying to expedite this process. It's taking longer than I wanted. Yeah, soldered them all at the same time, then brought the heat shrink tube over and did with my little torch here. I don't have my little heat gun with me today, so you can do it with the torch. Looks like a little tiny little torch. Just don't get too close or you will melt it or catch it on fire, but just be careful. Anyway, so that's done. These are all the speaker wires, and you know, when I even landed them all, like went from wire to wire, I started at the top and right down my list. That way double check them, because once they're soldered, you know, you don't want to have to be undoing them and redoing them if messed up. So I'm going to go ahead and get the other wires prepped coming out of this harness, and get the heat shrink on the pieces here, the wires here going to the RCA jacks, and get that prepped and get ready to solder those. Alright, I got the one set of RCA jacks soldered in here. Of course, heat shrink on before. Also, before I didn't mention it, but you see there's a little shield here where I stripped the shield back. I have a little piece of heat shrink. I'm going to slide up over that and shrink that down too, so there'll be no bare conductors that can touch anything back here once this radio is reinstalled. So I'm going to go ahead and heat shrink these on. I'm going to solder the other ones on and heat shrink those, and I'll show you what it looks like before I tuck the radio back in. Got all the splices done, all the heat shrink, so I'm ready to tuck the radio back behind. It's all good to go. You know, you always want to tug on your wires just a little bit. Be certain you have a good solder joint, and the heat shrink's covering any bare conductors. I'm going to go ahead and put the radio connectors back in. Don't forget the antenna. And I'm going to go ahead and temporarily before I put everything back together, get the amp powered up and be certain everything's working as it should. Alright then, finally get this bad boy finished. Got it. Don't got it tucked away yet. Just want to verify everything's working. And let's see here, we'll get some music. It's not even halfway. It's got a whole bunch more punch now just from that little Kenwood. It's passive, so there's no on and off button. Right when you turn it on, it's on, and which is exactly what I wanted. So it sounds great. I don't hear any whine or anything in the speakers from the alternator. Man, that sounds nice. Not my favorite song, but I usually listen to my MP3 player, my iPhone. I mean, here's Please, but I mean, those pioneers in their back are really rocking. Sounds real good. Very impressed. This little unit really packs a lot of punch. I'm very happy. So now it's time to put everything back together. I think I'm going to tuck this thing up in here on the side. I think there's enough room, and we'll see. I think I could squeeze it up in here. And for power anyway, I drilled my own ground down there. I don't know if you can see it. It's not looking like you can. Hold on a second. Yeah, right there. Where are we? Still ain't there. There we are. So I drilled my own hole and did that. I didn't want to loosen up whatever grounds those are. I don't know. I didn't want to mess with them. My power wire ran a number 12 to each. That's actually machine tool wire. I couldn't find any constant power here. I didn't want to use the stereo power because I didn't want to blow the fuse, so I ran my own back up under here. Get my finger out of the damn way. And you can't really see, just left of where the cable goes for the hood release, I drilled a hole through the firewall. You gotta be very careful. There's another couple wires coming through to the electric power steering unit. You just gotta be real careful. I I do this kind of stuff for a living. Well, not in cars, but in buildings. So I feel pretty confident when I do stuff. I quadruple check everything. Anyway, I got the wire through. I landed it on the, yeah, you can see here, I just kind of got it floating through here right now. It's straight shot all the way to the battery terminal, main, and I'm going to put an inline fuse here. I gotta order one off Amazon, but it has the unit itself has its own 15 amp fuse, so, but I still like to protect it, so I'm gonna put it, right now I just got to wire net together because this is gonna be an inline fuse here before too long. But anyway, so that's how you do all that. And then as usual, when you tuck this back, you gotta be careful your wiring. I didn't anchor it down yet, so I got everything tucked back in there. I put a couple zip ties, kind of make it neat. You want to put some strain relief so you don't want to be pulling on your solder joints or anything. So just make it nice and fancy looking and stuff. Anyway, that's how you do that. Can't do this one-handed, but if this helps, wonderful. Good luck. See you.